Welcome to Kids Cancer Care's Cycle Challenge Questions and Answers with Keely Shaw. Hi, I'm Arlo. My pronouns are they, them. This is my first year with the Kids Cancer Care Team Leadership Program. And a fun fact about me is I've been to 7 countries. And this is Kyle with me.
Hi, I'm Kyle. My pronouns are he, him. I have been part of the teen leadership program as part of Kids Cancer Care for 1 year now. And a fun fact about me is I like camping.
So we are here virtually with Keely Shaw, RBC Olympian and paracyclist nominee for the Tokyo Paralympics 2021. Hi, Keely. Thanks for being with us today.
Hi, Arlo. Hi, Kyle. Thanks so much for having me here today. I'm so excited to have a little bit of a conversation with you guys.
Keely, we are so excited to talk with you, and we're going to jump right in. You have been an athlete your whole life, but you've had some hurdles to overcome. Can you tell us a bit about your challenges and how you came to cycling?
When I was a young kid, I played every sport imaginable. I played volleyball, I played badminton, I tried soccer, I played hockey, I raced motocross, I rode horses. Hockey was my heart and soul. That was really my first love. But when I was 15, I fell off my horse and I broke a blood vessel in my brain, and that completely paralyzed the left side of my body. I spent about 3.5 months in Wascana Rehab in Regina, Saskatchewan, where I regained most of my function. So I have about 70% function on the left side of my body now. And when I got out of the hospital, the first thing I wanted to do was play hockey. So after I was given the go-ahead to play hockey, I put on my skates and I went out there, and I soon realized that I was not the hockey player I once was. I couldn't hold on to my stick very well with my left hand. I can't do a full stride length with my left leg, and the puck moves too quickly now. My brain can't keep up. But I continued to play hockey, even though I didn't love it anymore. Wasn't even enjoying it because I was constantly comparing myself to this athlete I used to be. But then one day I was in university, I was approached by a fellow classmate in the gym, and she kind of said, "Hey, I've heard the story about your injury. I've seen how you move. I think you'd be classifiable for the Paralympics." So I went with her to see her sports scientist, who kind of told me, "Yep, you're definitely classifiable, pick a sport." I thought, well, maybe cycling would be kind of cool. I'd been just commuting back and forth to the university on my bike at that point. I had a $200 steel frame Canadian Tire bike. I kind of did my own little bit of training, just riding when I could, doing, 20, 25 kilometer rides. And then when I finished my undergrad degree in 2016, I bought myself an actual good carbon fiber road bike. And there I continued to train. I got up to like 50 or 60 kilometers for my long rides. And then in 2017, I entered my very first race, and I loved it. I loved every single second of it. The atmosphere, the brute physicality, the competitiveness, just the feeling of camaraderie amongst all of these cyclists, even though we were racing against each other. And I finally started to feel like an athlete again. And when I got back from that race, I went on the Canadian Paralympic Committee's website and I found every single email that I could. And I said, "Hey, I have a brain injury and I like to bike. Where do we go from here?" And they put me in touch with the development coach with Cycling Canada, who invited me out to a training camp. And next thing I knew, I was at nationals. And next thing I knew, I was at world championships.
Yeah, that's a lot you've had to overcome. So what does your training schedule look like now?
So right now, training is starting to pick up a little bit leading into the Tokyo Games. I am focusing on the track events. So my kind of key event is the individual pursuit, which is a 3-kilometer race on an indoor wooden velodrome, which is kind of like a running track, except it's banked at about 37 degrees at the corners and a little bit less so on the straights. So that means my training is a lot more power focused, a lot more strength. So I lift weights 2 to 3 times a week, and then I ride my bike for 10 to 12 hours a week. And usually there's 2 sessions where I'm doing really, really high intensity intervals. And then there's 2 or 3 sessions where they're a little bit lower intensity and longer, and then usually 1 or 2 active recovery rides.
Did you have times that you struggled to keep going with your training? And if so, what did you do to motivate yourself to persevere?
Honestly, through the summer of 2020, I found it really hard to motivate myself sometimes. All my races had been canceled. The Paralympics were postponed. We didn't know when we would get to ride again, or at least race. I hadn't seen my team in months. I hadn't even seen my coach in months. So sometimes when I'm really tired or the weather's not optimal or it's really, really windy, I found myself asking, why am I doing this to myself? This isn't fun. Why would I subject myself to this? But I always just try to look at the bigger picture. So for me, that was knowing, or at least hoping, that the Tokyo Games were going to go on, even if they were a little bit later, and just taking it one day at a time, one pedal stroke at a time, and really just trying to focus on winning the day.
So what's your favorite cycling moment?
My favorite cycling moment, that's so tough because there's just so many of them. I think the one that will always stand out in my mind is at my first World Championships. Nobody really expected anything of me. I was only there to get a classification, because in parasport you get classified just based on your impairment, so that you're racing against people with similar levels of ability. And after my race, I was sitting number 1, and I finished that day in 5th in the world, like 3 seconds off a podium. That was my very first time I'd ever raced on the track, and I couldn't stop smiling for like 4 hours. I was just so stoked. But honestly, every time I have the opportunity to race on the world stage, it seems like it's going to top my favorites. I remember finishing my qualifier round in Apeldoorn in the 2019 World Championships, and my coach came to me and said, "You're racing for gold." We were hoping for a top 4 finish, so to know that the worst I could do was second was pretty phenomenal. And then in 2020 at Track World Championships, I lost a bronze medal by 75 one-thousandths of a second, and the velodrome was louder than the announcer said they had ever heard it. It was such an experience to be racing on home soil and to come that close, and I was racing against a former world champion. So again, every time I get on the race, or get on the track to race, or even on the road to race, it's always a new, incredible experience. And whether that is around the team environment and just getting to hang out with my friends, or the race environment.
What is your favorite Freeride meal?
So I'm a creature of habit, and luckily most of my races are in the morning, because typically my pre-race or pre-ride meal is oatmeal, eggs, and berries, and it doesn't stray very far from that. The only thing that differs is how much coffee I have, depending on what the intensity of the race is, or if I'm just going out for an easy training ride, I won't have as much. But for a race, my caffeine intake is pretty dialed in. It's pretty specific.
When you're not focused on training and cycling, what keeps you busy?
I haven't been bored in about 3 years. When I am not racing bikes, I am going to grad school. So I'm a grad student at the University of Saskatchewan. I finished my master's degree in 2019, where I investigated the effects of dark chocolate on cycling performance at altitude. So pretty much I just fed people a whole lot of chocolate and asked them to bike while I took their blood to measure different variables. And now I'm doing my PhD in sport nutrition and exercise physiology. So I focus on special populations, specifically female athletes, Paralympic athletes, and masters athletes, or older athletes. So yeah, I haven't been bored in a very, very long time. I also have 2 rescue dogs who require lots and lots of exercise. So I spend quite a bit of time outside with them, whether it's walking them, running with them, rollerblading, just taking them to the dog park or to the river to go swimming, whatever it might be. I definitely stay busy.
Well, you're getting your PhD and you're a Paralympic athlete. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, who decided doing both of those at the same time is a good idea? Whatever. We're going for it. We're living the life.
Yeah. What is your best advice for a novice cyclist?
I think my best advice is just to get out there. Sometimes in the cycling world, we can get caught up in having all of the best gear and the fanciest bike and the lightest wheels. But really, it's just a matter of getting out there with whatever you have, whether that's a cruiser bike, an e-bike, a mountain bike, a road bike, whatever it is that you love and that makes you feel your best, your strongest, your most confident. Just get out there and do it. If you like riding by yourself, ride by yourself. If you like riding with people, join a bike club and ride with people. Just get out and do it. The first step is honestly the hardest.
I'd like to do a rapid fire set of questions. Are you ready?
So what is the best concert you have gone to?
Best concert is definitely Rise Against in 2011 in Saskatoon. Me and a bunch of my friends, we were in grade 12. We took a limousine from my hometown in southern Saskatchewan up to Saskatoon.
What are you enjoying reading right now?
I just started one of Jodi Picoult's new books called The Book of Two Ways. I'm a huge Jodi Picoult fan. I kind of usually flip-flop somewhere between, I'll do like nonfiction, sports science, psychology books, and then I'll just do general fiction. And every now and then I like to throw in like young adult Harry Potter style books because I'm 26 years old and I still love them.
What TV series have you binged recently?
I just finished the series called Younger on Amazon Prime, which I really liked. My husband wasn't a huge fan of it, but I thought it had some pretty quick wit.
What are your top 5 tunes to listen to while training?
That's a tough one, but definitely some Rise Against. What, depending on what I'm feeling, it's going to depend what song I listen to by them. I've really been feeling The Offspring's new song. I don't even remember what it's called right now. But yeah, so I'm big into like the alternative punk rock, which nobody else in the world likes, but I love it.
So thank you so much for talking with us today. And just to finish off, why didn't the bicycle finish the race?
Why?
It was too tired.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
Thank you so much for speaking with us today. We really appreciated it.
Thanks so much, guys. I'm looking forward to hopefully talking with you again soon.